In the heart of medieval Europe, bridges were more than just ways to get across rivers. They were lifelines of commerce, meeting points for travelers, defensive structures, and sometimes even symbols of wealth and pride for the towns that built them. Walking toward one in the year 1350, the air smells faintly of wood smoke from the nearby village, and the sound of rushing water grows louder as you approach. Ahead, you see the structure rise out of the river, like the backbone of a giant, its stones weathered by decades or even centuries of use. This was not the kind of sleek and standardized bridge we know today. Each one was unique, shaped by the skills of the masons, the materials at hand, and the needs of the community. The first thing you might notice is the sheer solidity of it. Medieval bridges were almost always built to last. The most important ones were constructed from stone, carefully cut and laid without the use of modern machinery. Builders relied on hand tools, wooden scaffolding, and centuries-old techniques. The stones were often quarried locally, giving each bridge its own color and character. Some were pale and chalky, others dark and speckled with minerals. The mortar that held them together was made from lime and sand, sometimes mixed with animal hair or other organic material to improve its durability. Over time, the stones would develop mossy patches and streaks from rainwater, making the bridge blend beautifully into the surrounding landscape. Unlike modern bridges that are often flat and even, many medieval bridges rose in a steep curve. This arching shape was not only aesthetically pleasing, but also structurally clever. It distributed weight evenly and allowed the bridge to withstand the pressure of water, ice, and heavy loads. On some bridges, the central arch soared high above the water so that boats could pass beneath. This was especially important for towns that relied on river trade. Walking over such a bridge could feel like climbing a small hill, especially if you were hauling a cart or leading livestock. Many medieval bridges were more than just bare spans of stone. They often featured defensive elements, particularly if they were located in areas where conflict was common. A bridge might have fortified towers at one or both ends, complete with heavy wooden gates and portcullises. These towers could be used to control who crossed, collect tolls, or serve as lookout points for approaching enemies. In times of war, holding the bridge could mean controlling an entire region, so towns took their construction and defense very seriously. Some bridges were even linked directly to the walls of a fortified town, becoming part of its overall defense system. Another striking feature was the presence of buildings on the bridge itself. In busy cities, space was at a premium, and bridges became valuable real estate. It was not uncommon to find shops, workshops, and even small houses perched above the rushing water. These buildings were often timber-framed with upper stories that jutted out over the sides, their roofs tiled or thatched. Merchants sold goods directly to travelers. Blacksmiths repaired wagon wheels on the spot, and innkeepers offered rooms for the night to those making long journeys. The famous medieval London Bridge was lined with such structures, turning it into a bustling street suspended above the Thames. The roadway of a medieval bridge could vary greatly depending on its location and importance. In major towns, the surface might be paved with cobblestones or dressed stone slabs. In more rural areas, it could simply be compacted dirt or rough gravel. The width of the bridge was also a crucial factor. Some were broad enough to accommodate carts passing each other with ease, while others were so narrow that only one cart could cross at a time, forcing travelers to wait their turn. Guardrails or parapets, often made from stone, lined the sides to prevent people and animals from falling into the water, though these barriers could be quite low compared to modern safety standards. Below the surface, the piers of the bridge were often designed with pointed cutwaters that faced upstream. These triangular or rounded projections helped break the force of the current and reduce damage from floating debris. In winter, when ice floes could form, the shape of the piers diverted the frozen sheets to either side, protecting the structure from destruction. The craftsmanship that went into these underwater supports was remarkable, considering that builders had to work in challenging, wet conditions without modern diving equipment or pumps. A medieval bridge was also a place of symbolism and spirituality. Many had small chapels built into them, or at their ends, dedicated to saints who were believed to protect travelers. Pilgrims might stop to pray before continuing on their journeys. Religious processions sometimes crossed bridges as part of important ceremonies. The structures themselves could be blessed by local clergy. Carvings of saints, angels, or heraldic symbols might be found along the parapets, adding a decorative and protective touch. These details also served as reminders that travel in the Middle Ages was dangerous and that divine protection was sought at every stage of the journey. Over time, bridges became central to the identity of the communities they served. A town with a grand stone bridge could attract more trade, which in turn meant more wealth and influence. Maintaining such a bridge was expensive, and it was often funded through tolls. Toll houses were set up where collectors would record payments from merchants, herders, and travelers. In some places, the right to collect tolls was granted by kings or lords, making it a valuable privilege. The income was supposed to go toward repairs and improvements, though it is easy to imagine some toll keepers lining their own pockets. The life of a bridge in medieval times was not always peaceful. Floods, storms, and wars could damage or destroy them, requiring constant maintenance. Masons and laborers would be sent to repair missing stones, strengthen arches, and rebuild sections that had collapsed. Sometimes bridges were deliberately destroyed to slow an invading army. In such cases, they could be rebuilt later, often in a slightly different form, leading to the layered history that many old bridges still carry in their stones. Approaching a medieval bridge from the countryside, you might first see the narrow dirt road winding toward it, perhaps flanked by hedgerows or open fields. As you drew closer, the smell of river water and wet stone would mix with the scents of livestock and cooking fires. If the bridge was in a town, you would hear the clatter of hooves, the rumble of carts, and the chatter of merchants calling out their goods. The bridge would stand as a focal point, a hub of movement and exchange where people of all walks of life crossed paths. Crossing one could be an experience in itself. The uneven surface might make your cart rattle, and the incline could force you to slow down. Looking over the side, you might see fishermen casting nets, women washing clothes, or children splashing in the shallows. On market days, the bridge could be crowded, with travelers pushing past each other, street performers entertaining the crowd, and traders bargaining loudly over bolts of cloth or barrels of fish. In quieter moments, it could be a peaceful place to pause and watch the sunlight glitter on the water below. Even after centuries, many medieval bridges still stand today. Their arches strong and their stones worn smooth by countless footsteps. They are a testament to the skill of the builders and the importance these structures held in daily life. While modern bridges may be faster to build and more uniform in design, they often lack the individuality and charm of their medieval counterparts. Every medieval bridge tells a story, not just of engineering, but of the people who built it, the communities it served, and the countless lives that crossed it. If you stood on one now, you could feel the weight of history beneath your feet. Each stone would carry whispers of merchants, soldiers, lovers, and pilgrims who made the same journey centuries before. The bridge would no longer just be a way across the water. It would be a connection to a world where craftsmanship, community, and survival were all bound together in a single span of stone. So as we come to the end of our journey across the river, take one last moment to picture it. The stones beneath your feet have been worn smooth by centuries of footsteps. From weary pilgrims to bustling merchants and wandering minstrels, the curve of the arch lifts you high above the water, giving you a view that feels almost timeless. You can almost hear the echoes of clattering hooves, the laughter of traders, and the creak of wooden carts making their way across. Gah! A medieval bridge was never just a bridge. It was a lifeline for a community, a stage for daily life, and in many ways, a work of art. Every block of stone was set by hand, every arch shaped with care, and every tower or chapel built with a sense of purpose. It was a meeting point, a marketplace, a defensive stronghold, and sometimes even a home for those who lived above the water. Next time you see an old stone bridge, try to imagine the countless lives that have passed over it. These silent, enduring structures still carry the memory of a world long gone. They will keep telling their stories for centuries to come.